Having social intelligence and social confidence can completely change your life. This can impact your ability to build meaningful friendships, to network effectively, to create opportunities for yourself, and to be able to feel more confident in group settings. Over the years, I've really learned how to navigate conversations without forcing certain questions or forcing a certain persona, because the assumption is that a lot of people think that they need to pretend to be someone else, or that this confidence needs to be faked rather than it being truly natural. This video is going to help you do exactly that. I've gotten quite a few comments and DMs asking about how to stop overthinking conversations, how to become more confident and comfortable around different types of people, how to stop feeling intimidated in certain environments, and how to actually start enjoying social situations instead of feeling drained by them. And in this video, I'm going to be addressing all of these questions. Hi, my name is Jasmine, and on this channel, we talk all about becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you absolutely love. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the complete social playbook that every girl needs to know around social intelligence and also social confidence. I'll also be presenting tips that you may not have even ever heard of. So I'm talking about how to think about people, how to approach conversations, how to build genuine connection while staying grounded and truly confident in yourself. I'll be presenting actionable tips as well as mindset shifts so you never feel stranded in a conversation again. Here are all the video chapters, and you can find the video chapters in the description below. And if you are ready to do the real work, I'm not just talking about watching these videos, but actually transforming, I provide worksheets for every single one of my videos. In these worksheets, you'll find in-depth journaling prompts as well as practical exercises to help you start removing your limiting beliefs and to write out an action plan so you can start living out as your highest self today. You can access these worksheets in the description below. Now let's not waste any more time and let's dive into the 12 tips. The very first tip is do not overshare to fill silence, especially if you are someone who is very threatened by silence and you feel very uncomfortable with silence. It's really important that you are aware of what you say next, because if you're the type of person who thinks you need to entertain and be in the role of an entertainer every time you're in a conversation, sometimes things may slip. For example, you may be the type of person who likes to trauma dump on people, sharing about your own personal life, sharing your problems with people. And especially if you don't know them well, they can use that information and they can do things with it. They could share it with other people. They could tell your employer, they could tell your manager, and somehow that information can backfire and come back to you in some way. Or you may even like gossiping about other people and sharing information to strangers or other people when it's not in your place to share that information with. You want to be so mindful with what you reveal, because not everyone needs to have access to your personal life. If you are trauma dumping, if you're sharing your problems with people, assuming that this is a way to bring a closer bond, that's not going to happen. Just because you share your own personal life and information does not mean that you have the entitlement to call someone a close friend. So keep that information to yourself if you don't know them that well or if you don't trust them. The second thing is to let people finish their thoughts. When you are in a conversation and somebody's trying to recall a certain word or trying to recall a certain phrase, do not hop into the rescue trying to fill that empty space for them. It's actually really annoying and quite disrespectful if you do it a lot, because you're not allowing people to speak. When someone is talking and when they have the floor to speak, do not talk over them. Don't assume you know what they're going to say just because you're excited or just because you know them well. Give them the space to say what they need to say. If it takes them a while to recall a word or recall a memory or recall a phrase, allow them and give them the space to do that. Another thing is, if someone is complaining about their own life or talking about their own personal struggles and issues, they may not always necessarily want your advice. How you can approach this is, do you want to be heard? Do you want to be helped? Or do you want to be hugged? This is a really great way to understand what it is that they really require from this interaction. Don't go immediately into saving mode and giving people unsolicited advice, because people may not always necessarily want to hear advice. Sometimes when they are talking about a problem or talking about a situation. They just like to talk about it out loud and have their ideas bounce off of someone. So a really great way to do this is you can ask deep questions. Ask thought-provoking questions to help them really think about what their values are and how to act in alignment to those values. Never ever dominate a conversation assuming that you know more than the other person or assuming that you know best. Because who are we to know? Even though you may be a master at something, and if someone isn't explicitly asking for your help, then do not go into this domination, oh, I know better than you. Instead, you can ask questions to guide them to the solution that they are looking for. We've all probably been in a conversation with someone who thinks that they are the smartest, and there's a certain ego complex to them. But to really be socially intelligent, you have to be someone who allows people to be their best self. When you're in conversations where people are ranting to you about their personal life, do not ever assume what it is that they need. You can actually ask. Number 3 is be aware of reciprocity. My dad has always taught me that there's no such thing as a free lunch. So that means that whether it's platonic or non-platonic, so it could be romantic or non-romantic, it could be friendship, literally anyone. If a person is constantly driving you everywhere, if someone is taking you out for lunch and paying for your lunch, if someone is doing favors for you, it is important that you show your appreciation by reciprocating the favor. For example, if your partner is always driving you out to places, then something that you can do to reciprocate is that you could buy him a nice lunch, or you can buy him flowers, or you can buy him small gifts. It does not have to be an equal one-to-one exchange. If someone is using their precious time, resources, and love, and they're sharing that with you, and they're being generous with you, it's important that you reciprocate and show it back to them. And that's if you really do care about this friendship or relationship, which I'm sure you do. Never take advantage of people and take advantage of their kindness if they're assuming that just because someone is giving them something, that they receive it and they don't need to do anything. But to be socially intelligent is to be aware of what people have done for you and showing that same generosity back to them. You simply have to make the effort to give that generosity back. Number 5 is to always speak with a glass half full mindset. We have all been friends or been in a relationship with someone who is constantly pessimistic. They're either complaining about the economy, or complaining about how little money they have, or complaining about the job market, or complaining about their partner, or they're always complaining about something. You need to be especially aware if you're bringing in negativity into a conversation. I'm talking every time you speak to them, they always have something to complain about in their life. This also relates to gossiping about other people, and if you're judging people based on their flaws or judging people based on their choices or their career or whatever, that is also sharing negativity. If you personally have problems, it's important that you either process it with yourself or you're talking about with people that you trust and that you're close to. I've also been in friendships before where people were praying for my downfall. So if I shared a milestone in my life that I was super proud of and that I was really excited about, they would always try to find some way to tear me down or say, well, that's not really stable, is it? Or, oh, well, let's see how long that lasts. They'll make these side comments because internally, they're actually very jealous of where you're at in your life or the certain thing that you're celebrating. If someone is sharing a win or a huge milestone, I know that sometimes those feelings of jealousy or envy may come up in the surface, but do not voice that. Do not be vocal about it. If you do feel jealous, this is your opportunity to work on those feelings and emotions, because the triggering feeling of jealousy can actually be your BFF. Because what jealousy is truly communicating is it's communicating a condition you think you need to have in order to achieve a certain thing. And that condition could be, oh, I would assume that I need to look pretty in order to be a model, or I have to be really smart in order to make $1 million. million, there's always this condition we think we need to meet in order to manifest the thing that we want. But what if those conditions have never been true? And if you were envious of a person, it's essentially someone defying that belief, someone defying that condition, and manifested the very thing that they're asking for. So jealousy can be a very powerful way to process your own limiting beliefs. Another reason why it's important to celebrate other people's successes is because this is the universe telling you that it's just as possible for you. If someone in your vicinity has achieved something that you've always wanted, be happy for them, because the universe is telling you that it's close by, and it's telling you and reminding you to stay on track, to continue working on yourself, to keep taking action. It is important to be encouraging, to be inspiring, to be motivating, and you want people to leave your conversation feeling better about themselves. And that's how we make the world a better place. When you're speaking to people, don't always linger into the negative, because you want to be an inspiring force. So that means that you need to be aware of how you're saying things. It's important that you remain hopeful and that you're using hopeful language or using positive language instead of negative language. And you know, and you've probably been in conversations before where you felt kind of icky, or you felt even more fearful or even more anxious. Those are the type of conversations that make you feel bad. And typically, you don't really want to hang out with that person anymore. Be the force and be the light that everyone is seeking in their own personal relationships, because we all want to feel happier. We all want to feel better about ourselves and our own life. There is already so much negativity on this planet right now, and so much fear and anxiety and depression. But how you can truly make a difference is you can be the hopeful one. Remind people of how abundant this universe truly is. Something that I really love doing with my friends is that every time I catch them saying things with a scarcity mindset, or they share a limiting belief, I'm like, wait, let's stop here. Abundance mindset. You can have anything you want. You can be anyone you want. There are so many different opportunities that are within your reach. And show them and be that powerful, motivating light, and show them how limitless their potential is. You want to be that friend. You want your friends to walk out of that conversation feeling more inspired, more happy, more motivated to be their best self. Number 6 is to stop believing in social hierarchy and start seeing everyone as equal. If you are the type of person who gets easily intimidated by people who are smarter than you, more successful than you, prettier than you, taller than you, whatever, the fact is, if you are intimidated by people, you're essentially creating a pedestal and you're putting them on the pedestal. And if you talk to someone and treat them as if they're more important than you, you will automatically treat them like a celebrity. And if you treat someone like a celebrity, they have no choice but to treat you like a fan. But in reality, what you're actually doing is you're devaluing yourself. You're assuming that you are less than them, therefore that you need to automatically put yourself in a lower hierarchy. But no one is more or less important to you. And the fact is, we are all humans, and we are all walking bags of blood, and we're all mortal. There may be people in your eyes that are more successful than you or more amazing than you in some way, but it doesn't make them different, because they've also experienced rejection, failure, self-doubt. So we are all human because we've all experienced these range of emotions and feelings, but these things happen to us. You deserve respect from everyone. It doesn't matter if someone's older than you. It doesn't matter if someone is your boss. It doesn't matter if it's your partner. It doesn't matter if it's someone on a higher social hierarchy. Everyone deserves and everyone should give you respect. The dangers of believing that there's a social hierarchy and assuming that there are certain people who deserve more respect than others, if you feed into that reality, you're only going to get more and more intimidated by people. Because if you've ever asked yourself, why do I feel so intimidated by people? Why is it that people who have authority over me, or people who are more successful than me, why are people prettier than me? Why am I so afraid of them? And it's because you believe in this imaginary social hierarchy. It does not matter where you're at in life, you are still worthy. It doesn't matter how you look, you are still worthy. It doesn't matter how successful or unsuccessful you think you are still worthy. The type of person who is the most socially confident, they're able to talk to both sides because they see everyone as equal. Number 7 is walk into interactions assuming people already love you. If you have a bit of trauma around people, especially when you were in elementary school and high school and you were socially rejected many times, you probably felt like you were an outcast your whole life, and that's probably why social interactions are really scary for you. But what if you walk into every conversation assuming the best case scenario, assuming that you guys will have a great connection, assuming that you guys will have endless things to talk about, and assuming that people really love to be in your energy, rather than being in this place where you're like, oh, I don't really know if they want to talk to me, I think that they hate me. And if you automatically go into that assumption and conclusion, you're obviously not going to want to talk to them. You're obviously not going to put your 100% into building a genuine connection because you're already accepting failure. Number 8 is to be curious in other people. The most magnetic people and the people that have the most friends or the most people around them, they're not necessarily people who are the most interesting, but they are the people who are the most interested. I want you to think about a person in your life who you love talking to, and you can talk to them for hours on end, and every time you finish that conversation, you always feel empowered, inspired, in love with life. Are they the types of people that have endless stories and they're constantly talking about themselves and their life? No. What their power is they know how to make you feel seen. They would probably ask questions. They would ask really deep questions, and they would want to know more about you. Great conversations come with asking better questions. And they don't necessarily have to be smart questions, right? Show your interest and curiosity in the other person's life. If you always catch yourself in this position where you feel like you're lacking things to say, having questions and asking open-ended questions, not the yes and no ones, but asking clarifying open-ended questions to get people to elaborate on themselves, that can get them talking. It shows that you care about them. It shows that you want to understand them more. And people always love talking about themselves. Number 9 is to bring down the wall around your heart. Stop trying to analyze, strategize, and list a bunch of questions before going into a conversation, because it's not going to feel natural, and the other person you're talking to, it's just going to feel forced for them, and they're not going to feel comfortable either. Being socially intelligent is equivalent to being warm and genuine. There's a certain warmth that people feel when they're around you. It feels that when they're in a conversation with you, it feels like a hug. And it's not because you're projecting that energy intentionally, but it's because you're letting your walls down around your heart and you're really here for it. You're really here and you're present for this connection. Instead of thinking that you need to emit more love, the simple thing that you need to do is you just need to release and let go of the image that you want to project on others. You need to let go of this manipulation that you think you can control how people are perceiving you. It's okay to be goofy. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to be deep. It's okay to show your real human side because that's who you are. Stop trying to be perfect in every single interaction, because the more perfect you're trying to be, the more you're going to sound like AI. And we've all talked to that person where they sound like HR, they sound like a professional, they sound like a consultant. You don't feel like you're talking to a human being. You feel like you're talking to someone who works in corporate. It's okay to care. Even if you don't know them well, you can still care about them. You can still smile at people, say hi. You can still show that genuine energy. You don't need to base it off of prior communication or prior conversations. You don't need to have any of that in order to show care in a human being. So if you're walking by someone and they're making eye contact with you, just smile. If you see your neighbors in the driveway and you're outside too, just say hi and say, how you doing? The more that we allow ourselves to experience love and be okay and safe and being in this energy of love, we can emit that to the world. And socially intelligent people are always the people that are so warm and so loving, and everyone wants to be around them. Tip number 10 is to be a facilitator rather than just a participant. You can choose to be someone who makes people feel seen, included, and valued. That means that if you notice someone in a conversation who isn't really contributing or they're not really talking, but they're showing interest, this can be your way to say, oh, what do you think, Hannah? What do you think about this topic? Social intelligence is also noticing when someone feels left out. Being a facilitator shows your genuine energy. For example, if you're at a networking event and you're talking amongst a group and you're getting deep in a conversation and you look around and you see that there's a girl who's holding onto her cup, she looks lonely, she's not talking to anybody, she's just looking around, this can be your opportunity to be a facilitator. So you can walk over to her and say, hey, we're talking about this. Would you like to join our conversation? Socially intelligent people are highly empathetic, which means that if they're sensing that someone is left out, they're able to bring them in and include them in the conversation. Not only is this a socially intelligent thing to do, it's also a very good human thing to do, because we've all experienced being left out before, whether we're at a party, at a networking event, or if we're in conversation and no one's really including us. It can feel very lonely and it can feel really scary too. You do not need permission to be a social leader. Whether you are someone of power or not, whether you are someone who is socially popular or not, it doesn't matter. The fact is, if you care about other people and you want to include other people in, people are going to so appreciate you for that. Tip number 11, making people feel safe is more powerful than trying to impress them. People will never remember what specifically it is that you said, but people will always remember how you make them feel. I truly believe that the highest form of social intelligence is for someone to walk away a conversation feeling more empowered and feeling more confident in themselves. Share your appreciation for someone. If you genuinely really enjoy someone's company, be vulnerable and be open to sharing how much you appreciate them. If someone has a certain trait or a value that you really admire, share that and compliment on that. If they have a really great work ethic, if they're someone who is really calm or someone that you love spending time with, be open and vulnerable to sharing that too. Stop making your social interactions about you. Stop dominating the conversation with what you've achieved, what you've done. Stop being egocentric and making the whole conversation about you and how great you are. Instead, if you want to be someone who is socially intelligent, make sure that you are making the other person feel safe. Safe to share their thoughts, whether they're vulnerable or whether they're not. It's whatever they want to share. Make sure that you create a safe space for them to be themselves. Even if you may not necessarily always agree with what they say, don't immediately go like, no, you're wrong. You can say, I understand how you would see it that way, and then you could also share how you feel differently. Creating a safe space for people is really easy, because if you're able to calm down your own nervous system and be okay with talking to this person, and it comes with being present and being calm, you immediately emit that energy, and that person is going to feel your frequency, and therefore they're going to feel more calm in themselves. Tip number 12 is to have the audacity to be yourself. We've shared a lot of tips, a lot of mindset shifts here in this video, but do not ever suppress your own authentic self for the sake of pleasing other people. You would be surprised to know that I used to be very insecure about my love for self-development, my love for talking about goals, about being the best version of myself, because at the time, like 5 years ago, I thought it was cringe to talk about this stuff. I thought that people wouldn't understand me, people wouldn't really understand my vision, and I was worried about getting judged. But as you can see here, my channel is all about self-development, and I've built a community on this channel because I was audacious enough to be myself. The lesson that I've learned over time is that if you are passionate about a certain hobby, a certain topic, even if it's quirky, even if it's so unpopular, to show your true authentic side invites people to truly connect with your real self. If you are someone who feels lonely, you feel like no one understands you, what if the problem is because you are too afraid to reveal what it is that is truly important to you? If you are ambitious, if you are someone who is goal-driven, but you think that no one around you is goal-driven, no one sees eye to eye to your vision, and you shut yourself out from people because you go into the assumption thinking that people won't understand you. after creating this channel and I've been able to attract more and more like-minded souls in my life, I'm realizing that by accepting the very thing that is important to me, my values, my passions, my vision for life, the more that I accept this as who I am, the more that I attracted like-minded souls that lived and saw life the way that I saw life. If you are currently feeling lonely, or you feel like no one understands you, no one understands your goals, no one understands your vision, the problem isn't the world. The problem is you not being audacious enough to share with the world who you truly are. So I invite you to really share who you are. If you're passionate about God, if you're passionate about religion, spirituality, share that. If you're passionate about sports and health and longevity, share that. If you're passionate about love, romance, share that. Share who you truly are and accept that this is just a beautiful, beautiful layer of you. And the more you accept who you are, the more you attract people who accept you for who you truly are. Now, we've reached the end of this video. If you want to implement everything that I've taught in this video, then you can check out my worksheets down below. And if you are currently on the journey of becoming the woman of your dreams and building a life that you love, check out my channel because I make a ton of videos about self-worth, relationships, love, money, literally all things high-value women energy. And if you love this video, I highly recommend checking out this video over here. This video will show you real practical tools and tips to become the most interesting person in a room. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye!